Okay, so in this video, we're going to be looking at primary keys and foreign keys. And if we remember when we created that spreadsheet at the beginning of this course, if you don't remember this, just head back to, I think it was the second video in this playlist. And we created these two tables here in a spreadsheet. So if you remember, we had the first table, which is customers here. And for a primary key, we used ID here. And we gave each customer their own unique ID here. And then in this purchases or transactions table, whatever you want to call it, we have ID, products, price, and then this last field called customer ID. And we said that the ID in here references a customer here. So you can see we have three products here that were sold, and all of them have the customer ID of 2. So basically we're saying this John here is the one who purchased all three of these items. So now we're going to see how we can create a link like this with customer ID in our tables. But before I get started with that, why is this important? Well, if we create a link like this using foreign keys and we try to delete John here, for example, MySQL is going to prevent us from doing that because it would break the link here. Now we'd have stuff in our transactions table where it's referencing a customer ID that will no longer exist. So it will actually prevent us from deleting John here. And also if we try to add a transaction here with the customer ID of like 3 or something, it will prevent us from doing that because there is no customer with the ID of 3 here. So it's a good way to keep your data from being wrong. Like you don't want the wrong customer information to be put into here. I hope everyone understands that explanation, and now I'm going to head into the MySQL workbench and start coding this. So firstly, we want to look at the customers table here to see what's inside of it. We created this earlier on in the playlist, so make sure you have that. I want to do select star from customers, and let's run this. And you can see we have two customers here, Bob and John. Their IDs are a little messed up because we were playing with this table earlier. So the IDs are 2 and 4 here. And yeah, it's just ID, first name, and then phone number. Now we're going to go ahead and create a new table here. So we're going to say create table, and let's call this table transactions. And then for the columns here, I'm going to say ID, which is going to be int, and it's going to be the primary key. And we'll also put auto increment here. And then we'll add in our comma, and for the next field here, we do product. So this will be varchar 50. I keep missing that 0. But yeah, next we want the price. So this is going to be int. And then the last column here is going to be the customer ID, which references this customer table here. So I'm going to type customer underscore ID here, and it's going to be of type int. And after this comma, I'm going to add one more thing down here, which is foreign key. And then in the brackets here, I'm going to say which column here is the foreign key. So it's customer ID. And then we need to say references here. And now we need to type the name of the table that it's referencing. So this table down here is called customers here. So I want to type customers, and then in brackets here, I want to specify which column in the table are we referencing. So the column we're referencing here is ID. I'm going to type that in. And before I hit run here, I'm going to go through this one more time because it's a lot of code that we just typed out. So we're creating a table called transactions, And then we're setting an ID column here, which is int primary key auto increment. We've already covered all of this. And then we're just creating a product column, which is voucher 50, which is basically a string. And then price, which is an integer. And then we're creating a customer ID here, which is also an integer. But remember, from the spreadsheet here, customer ID is actually referencing the ID of customers from the customer table. So we created this foreign key as well, and we gave it the parameter of customer ID. So that's going to be our foreign key. It's this customer ID column here, and it's referencing from the customers table, which is this table here that we're displaying at the bottom, the ID column. So that's the primary key of that table. And that's usually how we connect things together. We connect a column from one table to the primary key of a different table. And I'm just going to run this now. And yeah, it ran successfully. So now if I actually refresh this here on the left hand side, we now have this transactions table here. And if I click this little drop down here, we see that we have a foreign keys folder here. So if I click that drop down as well, we can see we now have one foreign key here. And if I click on it, you can see the name on the bottom there. But all we need to know is that it exists for now. And now let's try inserting some data into this table. So insert into, and the table name is transactions. And then the two values we want to pass in here, or three values, are product, price, and customer ID. Remember, we don't need to pass ID because it's auto increment here. And this is just a foreign key, so we don't need to pass anything in here. It's just these three values we need to pass in. So I might have spelled that wrong, but we'll see when we run this. I want to pass in product here, and then comma, and we want to pass in price, comma, and then customer underscore ID. And for values here, so if we remember when we viewed that customers table, we had a customer ID of 2 and 4. So I'm going to first create the transaction here. We're going to say the product is a ball, and I enclose that in quotes because it's a string here. And then for the second, it looks like something is wrong there, but anyways, for the second value, we want to pass in the price, which is going to be 15. And then we want to pass in the customer ID. So here I'm going to type 4. And if we add in our semicolon here and run this, it's going to be inserted correctly. So let's view this. Select star from transactions. And let's run this. And yeah, we have one transaction now. It's a ball. The price is 15 and the customer ID is 4. Now let's try and change this customer ID to 5 here. And if we run this line of code, it's actually going to give us an error down here. And that error is coming because there is no customer with the ID of 5. So it's keeping our data safe, and it's preventing us from adding a transaction from a customer that doesn't exist. Now if I was to change this to 2 here, we know that 2 exists. We run this and it's successful. So if we view what's inside our table, we can now see there's 2 transactions here, and the customer IDs are correct here. I didn't add the one where the customer ID was 5. So another good thing that this does is it allows us to not delete the customer that has the same ID here, because it will break this link and then there will be a transaction for a customer that doesn't exist. And we can see this if we try to do delete from customers, where ID is equal to 2. If I try to run this line of code, it will give me an error because again we can't break the rules of that foreign key. So it's keeping our data safe. It's making sure that we have the correct customer IDs and we have the same data in both tables that connect to each other. And yeah, this is how you would use foreign keys. Now to delete that foreign key that we just created, we'd need to do alter table, and then we need to do drop foreign key, and then we need to give the foreign key name here. So the foreign key we created is called transactions. I'm just going to copy this name from here. And here where I said alter table, I forgot to give the table name. So the table name is transactions. And yeah, now if we add in our semicolon and run this, it will now drop that foreign key. So if I refresh this and look in the foreign keys folder here, there's nothing in it. So that's how we create foreign keys and we drop foreign keys, which is very important for keeping your data safe and making sure that tables that are meant to be connected to each other, the data inside of them stays connected and you don't accidentally delete something that's not meant to be deleted. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.